Hi, folks. Steve Urban here. Today's episode of the Riderflex podcast is sponsored by Marketing 360. My good friend JB Kellogg and his team do such a fantastic job for us and so many other companies. Marketing 360 is the number one platform for small business, and it's everything you need to grow your business. If you need marketing support, I really encourage you to contact them at marketing360.com/riderflex, and we'll add that link to the description of this episode for easy reference. Really excited about this episode of the Riderflex podcast. We had guest Ashley Crowder on the show. She's the co-founder and CEO of VNTANA. That's VNTANA. I think you'll enjoy her inspirational journey as she takes you from departing her job at BP as an engineer to selling sunglasses as a side hustle to movie theaters, and then working as a light jockey for a club before meeting her co-founder and starting VNTANA. If you haven't heard of them yet, they're a SaaS company that brings products to life from design to 3D shopping across web, augmented, and virtual reality platforms in minutes rather than weeks. Ashley Crowder on the Riderflex podcast. How you doing, Ashley?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. I'm glad that, or at least I feel like we're on the back end of the coronavirus situation. It feels like it's fourth quarter, doesn't it? Kind of. I hope. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, if we look at China as kind of the first people, it seems like we'll get opened up, but I worry about like the fall, people saying it coming back. So I think, until we have a vaccine, I don't think we're going to go back to life as normal as we knew.
Right. By the way, for the listeners, in case you're listening to this next year, we're recording this episode on May 12th, 2020. It's been an interesting 60 days or so for everybody. Have you been out of the house? Have you been out of the house much at all?
Not really. So I told you, actually, I got COVID in March. And so I was sick for a while, and I was just really, even when I felt better, I was afraid that I was still carrying it and could give it to people, right? So I didn't leave my apartment at all for at least a month,
Wow.
except to go to the doctor because, yeah, I just was afraid to give it to people. So luckily I work so much that it's fine. I work in the virtual reality space, so I meet people in VR. And Wednesday nights we go to virtual bars where
Cool.
we fake drink. I'm on Zoom meetings all day, so really, my life is pretty good.
And yeah, it was very, did you have an office where everybody gathered, or are you guys 100% virtual? I can't remember.
We did. So we did have an office in Los Angeles, and we have actually decided to, since we don't need one, so
Right.
we're gonna stay remote. We are part of the Verizon 5G lab in Los Angeles, which is awesome. So Verizon has this beautiful office space that we can use if we want to.
Sweet.
Um, yeah, and so it was kind of like, why are we paying for this office we don't need when we also have free office space? That's cooler. So
By the way, not to bum out everybody that's in commercial real estate listening to this episode, but if I were in commercial real estate, I'd be selling it all right now. I worry about these guys with these office buildings, right? I think more and more people are going to go remote, not to go down a rabbit hole, but I just am like, I don't know. We're 100% virtual. The Riderflex too. I mean, we didn't have an office even before the situation. So yeah, for us, we weren't really affected with our day-to-day activity. Our clients were, but we were already virtual. I mean, with today's technology, which we're about to get into with some of the stuff you guys do, I mean, right? I mean, I got the nice Riderflex background. You got the
yeah,
VNTANA background, right? We're all looking at
yeah.
professional. So before we get into VNTANA, tell us about Ashley a little bit. You know, what's the Ashley story? Where'd she grow up? Give us some family stuff. Tell us about you a little bit.
Yeah, so I grew up in Virginia near DC, so the DC metropolitan area. And, I always loved math and science, and I hated writing so much. So that's kind of why I ended up becoming an engineer. It's great. It's a great option. I had an older brother, so, I was always trying to be one of the guys, I guess. My dad
Oh,
was an electrician who started his own construction company when I was in first grade. So I was on the weekends, I was riding in his truck to job sites. I grew
cool.
up with construction workers, always wanted to figure out how to build things, love that. So, I think that kind of propelled me in a career that was typically more male dominated. And I'm the type of person, if anyone tells me I can't do something, I'm definitely going to do it. So my poor
That's,
mother.
oh, did somebody tell you couldn't be an engineer?
No, they wanted me to be an engineer, but
Oh, okay.
just growing up, like I was a very competitive gymnast too. So, gym class, I remember in elementary school, the girls can't do pull-ups. So really, I'm gonna do 30 and I'm gonna beat you. Like it was
I
always
love it.
bothered me. It was always kind of what got me to be competitive and to want to win,
Mm,
and
mm,
know I
mm.
can do that too. That's just kind of how I am.
Super competitive and an athlete through high school too?
Yeah, so I was a very serious gymnast, trained like 15, 20 hours a week since like kindergarten
Oof.
until 10th grade. I shattered my elbow, which at the time I was like, my career's over, but I was 15. And so I was already kind of old to be a gymnast anyways. And so to be honest, it was one of the best things that ever happened. I started having, more close friends in high school, doing more fun high school things. I wasn't
Right.
training all the time.
Right,
So
right, right. I got you. Okay. So one brother, dad was an electrician, then started his own construction company. So you had the entrepreneurial bug a little bit early on, right?
oh yeah, I always wanted to start my own company. And I have two younger sisters.
Oh.
We would be out selling granola bars on the bike trail, always like trying to flip a profit somewhere.
Now, were you the leader of the four children? Were you the one like, hey, look, come, we're going this way. Like, come on, follow me. How'd that go?
Yeah, well, my brother's a lot older than me. So when I got into real trouble, I just call him and he'd pretend to be my dad. Pick me up. I owe
Pretty
him
cool.
a lot. And then yeah, so he was in, he's 16 years older than me.
Oh,
So I really kind of like living with my sisters growing up more. But we're all super close, but you get closer as you get older when the age gap seems
now
a
I
lot.
gotta ask you about the 16-year gap. I don't know how much you want to share, but are your mom and dad, they had one child and then like a decade and a half later, they're like, oh, let's have three more.
Yeah, I think my dad never wanted any kids and he got four, but no, I mean my brother's he's my half brother, he's my dad's son, from a
Okay.
previous marriage, but he's my brother, like we're
Yeah. Yeah.
super tight.
Cool.
And yeah, even and my sister-in-law, I mean they dated since high school, so I knew her my whole life. We've all been really close. So
Very cool. Okay, cool. All right. So you had the entrepreneurial bug, but you obviously wanted to go to college. Now you grew up on the East Coast. How did you pick USC? How'd the California thing happen?
yeah, it was like as far away as possible. I don't know. I wanted an adventure.
uh,
I
uh,
applied and got in and was like, wow, this school seems great. It's in Los Angeles. It has a great engineering school. Um, yeah, and it just sounded like a fun adventure.
had you been to California, or just the first time you went there is when you went out to see the school?
I had been once as a kid. We did a road trip from like Phoenix to Tijuana and drove through California. And
Okay.
then, yeah, after I got in, then I went and visited. So not
And you,
really.
and then
I
you
didn't
went to visit the campus and you're like, it's 72 and like sunny and perfect. Yes, I want to go to school here.
yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like I always wanted to go to California. I don't know
Cool.
why that had been in my head. But it worked out, and really USC just has they are a very entrepreneurial school, and there's so much they do
Mm-hmm.
to help with, they call it the Trojan network. It's a little cultish, but people
Yeah.
are willing to make intros for you and help, and they've got, it wasn't there when I was in school, but now they have like funding for startups, like
Oh,
seed funding, which is interesting. But yeah, it ended up being, an awesome school for me.
very
Really.
good. Okay, so you get out of school. Walk us through some of your early career before Ventana. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think like most because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I liked engineering and liked building things, but I also wanted to be more creative. And so I would have, I would interned at Gulfstream, trying to fix their paint abatement system. And then I interned at MTV. And then I went and
Sweet.
interned at Northrop Grumman and, worked on the F-35 team for it's their jet that takes off vertically, flies at supersonic speeds,
Okay.
lands, interesting. But then I didn't like the bureaucracy of, it's very bureaucratic, kind of like, because it's government contracts, it's very
Oh,
slow
right, right, right.
moving.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of bounced around, going from like creative MTV to these engineering jobs, back to like I worked for a fashion company for a summer. Just couldn't really find what I was looking for. So when it was time to graduate, I wanted to get a good paying job. So I worked for British Petroleum for 3.5 years.
Nice. Great.
Yeah,
Great,
you
great,
know,
great first job out of college, right? I mean, wow,
yeah,
that's
the first year is the oil spill.
was it? Oh, was that
Yeah.
2009? Okay, that was 2000. I forgot what year that was. Wow. All right. So
So that was kind of crazy. Then, I worked at the refinery I mean, I learned a lot. I was one of 4 planners at the refinery. You pretty much work 24/7. I mean, because the refinery goes 24/7. You're on call all the time. If fires happen, if things break, you got to figure out how we're going to fix it. So it was exciting in that sense. It really pushed me. I learned a lot. I was also, a young woman trying to get things to happen in a very male dominated workforce. But I guess it's like my whole career. But so yeah, I learned a lot about leadership, how to get things done in a big organization. But yeah, it wasn't what I wanted to do
I,
forever.
I think I saw a picture of you in a hard hat, and one of those suits they make you wear. Something somewhere online. I found it somewhere. I can't remember. But
Yeah,
anyway,
they're fine. You need to wear like a fireproof onesie, hard hat. I had gas masks, depending on what we were doing that day.
I worked one summer in the refineries down in Houston, Texas, for a company that stress tested welds on pipes. Now, before that, all I had done was be a retail clerk at a convenience store during high school and college. But one summer, I thought I was going to go work in the refinery. And I was down there for about 30 days. And on that 4th week, in Houston, humid, 100 degrees, standing next to a pipe that's 700 degrees with some sort of suit on, trying to wrap some stuff around the pipe, I was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to do this for a living.
Yeah, no, that fireproof material, it does not breathe, and it's hot in the summer, and somehow it does not keep you warm when it's cold either. It
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. So,
yeah.
but you stayed for 3 years. Now during that time, were you having this like, damn, what do I really want to do? Like the whole time you were there, you're like, what do I really want to do? Or did you have an idea? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, I was kind of looking at different things. I had met right before then, or early on, I had met my now co-founder of VNTANA, because we both were importing glasses from China and reselling them, like
On,
for
on the
fun,
si- on the
money
side, on the
on the
side.
side. Yeah, and so that's how we met. I was doing that while I was at the refinery, and
Hold on,
for
hold on, hold on. I hold on. Sunglasses or glass? What do you mean? You said glasses, sunglasses or what?
I was importing sunglasses and 3D glasses to sell to movie theaters, because lots of movie theaters were doing 3D at the time. And my co-founder, he had been importing sunglasses in USC colors that just said game day, so we didn't have to pay for any licensing fees. And our mutual friends were like, "Who does this? You need to meet each other." So that's how we met. We both were
Wow, wow.
exporters.
I can just almost imagine. I'm the movie theater manager, and a BP engineer comes up to me and says, "Hey, I got these cool sunglasses. You guys need some?"
Yeah, yeah.
That goes back. That goes back to the granola bars. You and your sisters with the granola bars. Same thing,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's funny. So I think that says a lot about you. I mean, the reason I paused you right there is because I think that says a lot about you as an engineer at BP with a master's degree. You were not fulfilled totally, right? There was something in your gut, something in you that this desire and passion for the entrepreneurial spirit, where you just had to feed that, and your way to do that at the time was the sunglasses thing, right? I mean, I think.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Does that sound right?
Yeah, exactly. It was like a fun project for me, and it kind of led me to meet my co-founder Ben, and then we were
Cool.
always throwing around business ideas. And
Cool.
then at that time in my life, I was single, no boyfriend, no kids, no mortgage, had a lot kind of going on with my family I needed to take care of. And I
Okay.
think when anything big happens in your life, or you're worried about family members, or stuff, it kind of makes you relook at your whole life and say, I'm spending all my days doing this. Why?
Mm-hmm.
And so really kind of made me rethink and say, you know what, now's the time. I ended up taking a leave of absence from BP, and then I just never went back, but to take care of some family stuff. And then kind of I got a job at a nightclub on the weekends. Uh, so I could work weekends. And it was one of the most fun jobs I ever had. I was programming light shows for DJs, which was great.
What was that? Was that like on Craigslist or something? Like light programmer for DJs? Like, how'd you even find that?
No, so it was actually really funny. I had never worked in a restaurant before. I needed to make extra money because I wasn't at BP, and a friend was working at this. It was like a restaurant in the bottom and a club in the top.
Okay.
And they're like, we need a hostess, and I was like, sure. I've never done that. Was not very good at it. I actually got a bad Yelp review, and my mom was like, who is this hostess? And I was like, oh shit. I just wasn't good at it, but I
Uh,
fixed all their computer problems. Like they had computer issues, and I was
okay.
doing that. And they were like, "Well, we need help upstairs with the club lights." And so, anyways, that was
You're like
what I
okay.
so yeah.
So the next thing you know, you're upstairs working on the lights, just like that. You went from hostess to okay. I can almost see you as a hostess. You're like you're sitting over here. Come on, follow me. Like
Yeah, I'm too direct of a person. I wasn't good with the
I,
pleasant. It's not my calling.
yeah, I can see that. I can see. Yeah, I can sense that. Yeah. So all right. So now you're upstairs. All of a sudden, you're like helping DJs with lights and stuff. Okay, this is a fascinating story. All right.
Yeah, and
Meanwhile,
it was finally a combination of engineering and art and creative
oh,
that I feel like I
oh,
had always been looking for.
I see.
Between the internship at MTV and then Northrop Grumman, and this kind of
Right.
finally combines that. And I was making minimum wage, nothing, but
But
I
loving it.
I love
Loving
yeah,
it.
I loved it. And I was really talking with the DJs. At the time, no one was making money selling records anymore. They were only making money doing live shows. And so I said, okay, well, what if you could do 10 shows at the same time? We can live stream your shows. We can recreate the same light show. It's all programmed. And I was like, no offense. No one cares if you're there. It's the light show. And that's kind of where VNTANA initially started. And
Ah,
and people wanted holograms, and so we could do that. And we did our first hologram of Nicky Romero for Kia cars. This is right before Nicky Romero got really big. He's since become a top 10 DJ,
okay.
and we somehow pulled that off. We built it with Home Depot parts, and that's that's kind of how it started. And then we got our first investors from that. And this was 8 years ago. So this is before there were VR headsets on the market. This is
I see.
before phones could do augmented reality. So we were doing these location-based mixed reality experiences.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Mixed reality experience. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we had hardware to project a digital image in our environment. So kind of like,
Okay.
say you hold up your phone and you can see like a Pokemon Go. We were doing that, but with like a giant clear screen. So it looked like that DJ was on stage, or it
I
looked like
see.
that hologram logo was floating there in our environment. And so, we built a profitable company doing that. All of our clients were brands, though, not DJs. We learned very quickly brands are who pay for
Right.
concerts. They're the money behind that.
Right. Right.
So we said, what else do you guys want to do? You're paying us. So what else do you want to do with this technology we built? And they wanted to engage consumers. And so we started doing lots of holograms of executives and celebrity endorsement deals, and then of course products. And when it came to their products, nobody had the right 3D files you needed to do this sort of thing.
Okay.
And it kind of reminds me, in the 80s, we went from film to digital
Uh-huh.
transition
Okay.
of content. And so now in the past 10 years, we started this transition of digital to CGI or 3D. Like the shoe behind me, that's
Uh-huh.
CGI. That's not a photo. This was done with our software, with
I
3D
see.
software.
Okay.
And so we ended up having to create all this software to easily create, the holograms of products for these like location-based experiences. But then now that web can support 3D and phones can do augmented reality, there's all these other needs for these 3D assets. So that led us to where we are today. It's a crazy long story of licensing our software so people can easily create 3D models of their products and put them on their website, have augmented reality built in so you can hold up your phone and see that shoe overlaid on your foot or that patio furniture, in your yard, and then even drop it into virtual reality.
I see. Okay, so I'm going to back up just a tad. So the software, so it's a SaaS company now, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so the software originally you built because you needed it for yourself to do these holograms, and then at some point you're like, wait a minute, our business is actually the software and selling the software service. That's how it happened. So
Exactly.
there were a few pivots in there along the way as VNTANA grew. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we, it started as music. Brands were the ones paying us for the hologram concerts. So we very quickly said, what else do you want to pay for?
Yeah.
And then, events and events are great because they pay you cash up, 50% cash up front, 50% cash on the events. That's how we're able to operate profitably for a number of years. We didn't have to raise the same amount of venture capital that like other Silicon Valley startups would have to.
Yeah, great.
Um, and then we kept kind of plugging away at this content problem, and really last year is when we decided we're like, now's the time. Facebook has launched their AR advertising. Google has launched Google Swirl, so you can advertise in 3D on Google, which most people don't realize. Snap
Mm.
Lens is now everywhere, so I'm actually using Snap Lens now. So these
Oh,
are
cool. Oh, I like it.
with our software and dropped them into Snap Lens. So we just saw this
Oh,
huge need. And so last year we decided, this is the future of the company. We need to open up our software, license it to people. And then the really crazy thing is COVID. I mean, no one saw that coming. Every retailer became a direct to consumer brand overnight, right? There's no stores.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's all online. So how do you give consumers confidence in buying, with just online? Well, having a 3D version of your product has proven to double conversion rates as opposed to just a 2D image because people
Yeah.
have a better understanding. And then if you can actually do virtual try on, like, these glasses on my face or
Yeah.
shoes on my feet,
I like it.
companies like ours have seen 11x increase in revenue, which is crazy. Like,
That is. I mean, so are apparel companies and shoe companies your primary customer right now, or your primary target?
yeah, we work with a lot of like fashion,
Right.
accessories, and furniture. I'd say lots of furniture as well.
Right, 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 right. Okay. So the difference between the pictures that I see on Amazon, where you can like click on the front, back, and whatever, the difference now is I can actually use your software from the retailer I'm buying. So the retailer is using your software so that I can put that couch in my living room and look at it
Yeah,
and change colors.
yeah, and it's one thing, you could hire an agency to do that tomorrow with one couch. Like they could do it manually. It costs a lot
Okay.
of money. It would take a while. Our
Okay.
software automates it, so we can help
I
companies do it at
see.
scale. So when we talk to Adidas, they launch 25,000 products a year. So when you talk about, you can't do that manually, you
I see.
need a software solution like ours to
I see.
automate that.
I see. And it's a license they buy. What is it like? What's the business model? Is it like, hey, you can have one of your marketing people use a license, or how do you sell that? What's the model?
Yeah, we just charge based on the number of files that you upload.
The number of
So
files. I see.
yeah, so if you're a smaller company and you only have, you sell 25 products, you're on the $75 a month plan. That's very doable. If you
I
are
see.
in 25,000 products a year, that's a more like enterprise level license.
I see. Is this proprietary, like protected stuff? I mean, are you going to have people copy this and all of a sudden you got 10 people doing the same thing? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So when we look at the competitive space, we look at, Sketchfab and CG Trader. They're two companies that
Okay.
they looked at this problem and they created a marketplace. So I can go on there and buy a random 3D tennis shoe I need for my game if I'm building a 3D game.
I
Or
see.
I can go on and hire a 3D artist in India because they're less expensive than a 3D artist in LA. But
Okay.
there's still that time associated. We looked at this and said there needs to be an enterprise solution because Adidas is not going to put their Yeezy shoe on there. And so we're kind of more that enterprise solution. We've got 7 patents issued, 14 filed around
Nice. Nice.
around our different our differences and what we've thought about how this our algorithms work basically. And that's a fun story. So Jim, our patent attorney, he's great. I met him because we were first starting the company. I just like went back to USC and like sat in on MBA classes. I was like, I don't need an MBA. I just like need more information. So, and in my mind, I was like, I've already paid for
Right.
a master's in engineering. They won't care. So I just like went to a few classes, and this one had this guest speaker who was Jim, who's an IP attorney at the time for Cisco. And I just had like a million questions. And he was like, what are you building? And I was like, come to our office, come see it. So like me and Ben, my co-founder, like showed Jim our holograms, everything we were doing. And he was like, I think you guys have something here. I want to help. And he really became our first advisor.
Wow.
So Jim has helped us do all of our
Nice.
patents, which is incredible. He's since started his own firm called Bentley Ventures, like trying to, help more startups and stuff. But
Was it a trade of services? Was it like, hey, look, you get the patents for us, I'll give you a little bit of equity?
yeah, no, really. I mean, yeah, we gave him equity, but uh, he was awesome. Like he's gone so above and beyond.
That's
I would
great.
say every startup should be wary of someone who like just straight up asked for equity in the beginning. Like it was never weird. Like he never did that. It just kind
Uh-huh.
of happened organically.
Good advice. Good advice. Yeah, wait for it to happen organically and see what they're
Yeah,
contributing. See if are they
right.
truly going to contribute. Yeah, that's big. So you didn't at first you bootstrapped it and you had revenue right away, even back when it was just holograms and live events. I mean, you had revenue in the beginning, so you didn't have to raise a bunch of cash in the beginning. You just bootstrapped it and used that cash. Is that right?
Yeah, we bootstrapped for a long time. We did raise about like 2 million in seed funding, like
What?
along the way,
Oh, okay.
which allowed us to kind of get bigger and add some more
Yeah.
tech, hire some more people we needed to because we couldn't keep up with everything we were doing. And that kind of led us to this past year where we said, look, now's the time for this software. This is the bigger win. This is the bigger opportunity for the company. And so we did raise just at the end of last year about $5 million to be able to grow
It's nice.
the software
Was
side.
that your Series A, so to speak, or was it
I
still?
guess I like hate all the terms. I'm like
Right.
we call it the lightning round. Like that's what,
I,
that's what I call it. But yeah, so I guess that's our Series A.
I was just talking to another entrepreneur from New York. He owns another company. I won't mention the company, but he's like, I don't know, bro. It's like Series E, whatever. I don't keep up. I needed cash. We raised some cash.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, great for you. Was it difficult for you on the cash raise? Is that hard for you? Did you find that like, oh, I hate doing this, or natural for you? Talk to us about raising cash a little bit for those entrepreneurs out there that are in a situation now where they need to raise a good amount. Just give them a little bit of advice and what it was like for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I learned everything the hard way. I had no background in any of this, right? I'd studied engineering for a long time and worked at nightclubs. So, and my co-founder, he majored in business, but you really, the smartest people I know will get a job as an analyst at a VC firm out of college, work there for 1 to 2 years,
Mm.
meet people, understand how it works, and then go start their companies.
Ooh, ooh,
I've
okay.
seen and them they have a much easier time raising money. They know what investors want to see. They already have those relationships, because so much of it is about relationships. They want to know who you are and trust you, and they want to see you go from point A to point B and maybe to point C. So that's why it takes time, because you have to prove to them, I'm here the day you meet me, but look at all these milestones I've made, and so
Yeah.
you believe that I'm going to meet these other milestones.
And you didn't do any of those things. You just were like, hey, I've never done this before, but I need you to give me cash.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I had some great mentors along the way. Tilt Ventures was one of the first funds who they kind of like led our seed round with Paradigm Talent Agency, and you know Lawrence Anton at Paradigm. He came and saw us and was like, well, this is pretty amazing. You built this with Home Depot parts. Like, I wonder what you can do with money. And then me as a partner at Tilt, who's still like a great friend and mentor. And she was like, no one knows who you are. You need to go out. You need to meet people. You need to go to these events. It was like the networking side that I didn't really ever think about prior to that. So yeah, they really helped, and I learned a lot along the way. I joined a lot of women's groups that kind of help make those connections, because historically, I think women are only getting 4% of all venture capital funding.
Somebody else gave me a stat like that recently. Another entrepreneur. Yeah, it was a super low stat like that. I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's a crazy stat. I had no idea it was that low. That's crazy. Yeah. For you, I call it shaking hands and kissing babies a little bit. The networking related. If like for you, like, is that tough for you? Like okay, I can do this if I need to, but it's not my favorite.
I just like made myself, I'm going to go to 1 or 2 events a week. And if I'm there, I'm going to pass out 5 business cards. I just had to make it like a very, like, I can't leave till I do this, and it gets easier. I mean, now within the 3D AR VR space, I mean, there's such great people. I over the past 8 years, it really is this amazing group of friends that I have, that we
Yeah.
all are in the space. And then you make friendships that never would have met these people otherwise. And they're the people I meet in VR every Wednesday night. So
That's cool.
it really is fun. It's become family.
How many employees today?
We have 15.
15 employees. That's the other thing we didn't talk about. You had to kind of learn how to be a CEO along the way and hire people and candidates and all that while you were learning how to raise cash and run a company and build a SaaS company. Yeah, when it comes to hiring, what kind of, are you trying to build a specific culture? Have you thought about that? Are you into all the the missions, the values, and a specific culture? What do what, talk to us a little bit about what you're trying to put together there with your people.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you need to have a specific culture in mind. I would 1,000 times hire the right attitude over the perfect resume.
Bingo.
We learned it the hard way in the beginning, and now we have a much better method to really, we have, part of it is we now have a structured process. We do like 3 different interviews. We have this list of questions. We go through everyone. It's just so you can really compare apples to apples with people, and just have this structured process, which has helped a lot. And culture is everything. I mean, I'd say at VNTANA, we're real believers in, I don't care what school you went to or what your resume says, as much as like, show me what you've built. Like, we're very portfolio focused. And we've hired a number of people who might have dropped out of college or never went to college, but they taught themselves. Like, Claire's our front end developer. She dropped out of med school because she realized she really didn't want to be a doctor, and taught herself coding, and she's been incredible.
Oh, wow, that's cool. That's cool.
She's amazing. And then, our creative director dropped out of college because he was like, I'm already doing work and getting paid for it. I don't need to be here. And he had this, amazing portfolio of beautiful work. And that's, I'd rather see that, of you actually creating something that I can look at. And right now, I mean, we are actually hiring in this crazy time. We're hiring for a 3D technical artist. So
nice.
that's another one where, just show me what you've created. And
The fact that you're growing during this time is so awesome. I love the fact that you have identified exactly the type of person you're looking for, and you build that kind of culture. That's awesome. I can appreciate that. Riderflex is the same. It's all about, we believe it's all about matching candidate personality to your company's culture. I just think it's absolutely critical. When people say they quit a job, if you really break down the stats and you break down why somebody left a company, whether they got fired or quit on their own, I don't know what the real stat is, but it's got to be, it's super high, like 90% is because they didn't like it, they didn't fit, they didn't like the culture, they didn't like their boss. Usually it's not because they didn't have the skill set. Usually it's not, because it's very low percentage on skill set. It's because of something else, whatever it might have been, something with the office politics or the style or whatever. So to your point, culture is just absolutely critical. Is there a favorite question you like to ask? Like, what's Ashley's like go-to question? Anything specific? During interviews?
You know what's the most interesting thing? We always start out by asking people questions about high school.
Ah,
And it's really interesting that half the people are like love talking about it, and then I've gotten people like straight up, I'm not talking, what, I have a PhD, I'm not going to talk about my high school, and like
yeah.
the
And
interview
you
ends. It's bizarre to me. Do you want to answer a few questions about your high school? What are you hiding? It's really bizarre. Like that question, just I asked how, like, what were your highs and lows in high school, and like the reaction is so different.
do you know how often at our firm, Riderflex, somebody gives a bad answer like that in the first 2 minutes? And I just want to say, okay, well, it was nice chatting with you for 2 minutes. Interview's over. But I have to be a little bit careful, but I want to do that all the time.
Yeah. No, we've had someone end the interview because they were so upset that I asked about high school. And I was like, I
They
don't,
ended it. They ended it.
and I
Wow.
was like, okay, what were your highs and lows in high school? I don't like,
I was asking you about employee size. So revenue, what, I mean, you don't have to give specifics. I don't know how much you want to share. So are you talking, is this millions of dollars company, 50 million? Like where do you got it? Can you give us some idea?
so we don't disclose our revenue, but I will say we are in such a unique position,
All right.
especially during this weird COVID time, of the fact that every retail brand just overnight became a
A target.
100% e-commerce company. And they are all looking for better ways to show consumers their products, which 3D does and is proven to increase online conversions. So and even, we've talked a lot about kind of those consumer brands, but we're even now talking to companies that do B2B sales, who
Okay.
their salespeople can't go to that factory and talk to the person about their product, but they can send them a 3D file that they can use AR to view it in their factory and say, oh yeah, that'll fit here. Or, it really can be such a useful tool, not just for retail, but industrial, medical, there's all these opportunities. I mean, as a startup, we have to stay very focused. And from the beginning,
Mm.
I've learned whoever's paying us first is who we're going to focus on. But yeah, we're at a really unique
You're
position.
you touched on something there that's good advice for the listeners. It's easy. I think one of the things a good CEO needs to do is learn how to say no, or hey, we got those 5 projects on the board over there. Like if we add these five, we're going to choke ourselves, and then we're going to end up doing a bad job on 10 projects. So it is a matter of balancing things as you see all these potentials. By the way, I was just thinking about the service piece. So the salesperson is, let's say the salesperson, she's pitching a part for, I don't know, a hospital room or something, and they can see the part in the office. And can you also hologram in the salesperson, like they're standing in the room demoing the product?
We don't do that, but it's not really necessary, right? Like I
Oh,
can just send you a link, you open your phone, you click that link, all of a sudden you're seeing that 3D machine
okay.
virtually in your OR, and I can be on the other end controlling, oh, like zoom in on this point. This is what this aspect does, or here's this part, or oh, that's not going to fit. Let's switch to this other model.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily need that person there, but it's actually being able to physically see that product in the room it's going to be used in. So we've
Okay.
been, yeah, we've been doing a
Now,
few medical devices and things. But
when I hear the word hologram, do you know what I think of right away?
Star Trek.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was a huge fan. I was a huge fan. So right away, I'm like, man, I wonder if Ashley's going to build these places where you can go and say, hey, I want to like go fight dinosaurs. Can you like put me in the hologram? And I want to do that. Can you do that eventually? Can you build that?
So we will not be building that, but the whole ecosystem is getting there. So you have Microsoft and Intel both working really hard on volumetric capture. So we can volumetrically capture people today, so that we could theoretically project your volumetric hologram. The problem is it's extremely expensive. You know, it's about $10,000 per minute of content. But it'll get there, right? It'll get there. And that's what you can put in. You know, we've got amazing virtual reality headsets, and you've got Apple coming out in the next 1 to 2 years. It's kind of unknown with their headset that's supposedly going to go from augmented reality to virtual reality. You can do both. You can pick how much digital you see. So the
You know,
problem we wanted to solve was, okay, how do businesses create their presence in this new spatial computing
I,
world, whether it's with a headset or phone or whatever? Because it's like when the internet first started and everyone needed a website, and they just put a brochure on the web, and it was
yeah,
awful,
yeah.
you know. So we're getting past that phase now for spatial computing, right? Like you can't have the brochure on the website as your website. You needed a cool interactive visual with videos and images. So that's, you know, we're helping companies do that with their products and get their products into spatial computing.
I thought about you last night. So last night, my wife bought a new TV late last week, I guess, and the TV comes in, and we are putting it on our current TV stand that we have, and guess what? It does not fit. And so she gets out the laptop. She's like, "Hey, we need to order a new TV stand. Come here." And so I go over. We're sitting on the couch, and she's got the laptop open, and we're looking at TV stands, and she's browsing through the ones. She's like, "What do you think of this one? What do you think of that one?" And we're talking about it. So guess what I do? I click on the little picture. I'm looking at the dimensions, measuring the TV, but we don't really know what it's going to look like. Like we really don't know like what it's going to look like in the space we're planning on putting in or anything. I'm sitting here thinking, man, isn't this interesting? I'm interviewing Ashley tomorrow. If the website that I was on at the time, that retailer, if they were using your product, I could have just projected it right there and done the whole
Yeah.
thing. Right. Right.
Yeah, exactly. You could have, you know, if you're looking at that website on your phone, clicked on the TV, clicked on the AR button at the top, and just held up your phone and seen exactly what that TV would look like on your wall or
Man,
wherever you're trying to put it.
perfect. See, I needed that last night. So basically every retailer is your client. Basically, I mean, why aren't they all calling you? Like they should all be calling you right now.
Yeah, and we've been super busy, which is exciting. So we're trying to
Great.
get people onboarded as quick as possible. You know, we
Awesome.
are specifically trying to say, hey, look, just send us, because we know it's new for people. Send us three to five files. We'll do it for free. We'll show you what we're talking about. Because I think for some people, so much of it is, I don't get it. I don't understand how this works. It's like, okay, we'll just let us show you with your product. And then that kind of is like, oh, okay, now I get it. I can show this to my boss. I can explain this, and let's go from there. So.
So now, in the situation you're in, what does Ashley worry about at night when she's laying in bed and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, your eyes pop open? What's Ashley stressed about right now?
Right now, we really need an amazing 3D technical artist. So
Yeah.
that's become the latest urgent thing. And yeah, I mean, also it is, you're always afraid of trying to boil the ocean. You know, we've talked about a lot of different possibilities. It's, you know, clothing and shoes and furniture and TVs. Really trying to focus on what can we do today the best, and be the absolute best at that
Yep.
one thing, like Amazon was at books, and then expand from there.
Did you ever have a moment early on? Because you've been doing this for a while and you pivoted a few times. Did you have some moments where you're like, I can't do it. I can't. I'm talking early on, first couple of years, first 2 or 3 years. You ever wake up and go, I can't. I'm just going to call BP back and get my refinery job back.
No, they did call me once. They really needed somebody. I was like, no, no, look, it's really hard. I think, you know, if anything, I'm very persistent. I don't know if I'm the smartest or the best. I just am persistent. Like my mom always brings up this story. You know, being a gymnast, I can never stick the double turns, and my coach is like, you need to stick 10, and then you can move on. And I kept falling, and so I kept doing it, and I didn't realize I I burned the skin off the bottom of my foot because I did so many double turns just trying to practice and stick it, and
Wow.
I wasn't gonna stop until I did it. And like until I realized there was like a blood stain on the floor, and I was like, oh, okay, I need to stop. Like that's just, I don't know. Once I get something in my head, I just have to do it, and I want to win, and that's what we're gonna do.
And
So
yet, it's your super competitive nature and very consistent. If I know we're running short on time, let me ask you a couple of. By the way, for the listeners, before I forget, then I want to ask you some wrap up questions. So, just so everybody understands, Ventana.com, VNTANA, Ventana.com. Ashley Crowder. You can also find her on LinkedIn and all over the web, and there's interviews everywhere, right? And then there'll be this one too, which this one will probably be the most famous, of course, for a while
yeah.
anyway. A couple more like wrap up questions here. As you look back on your early career, I mean, you're still young, compared to me anyway. But as you do look back now, if you could at this point call the 21-year-old coming out of USC, or however old you were coming out of there, 21, 22 or whatever, if you could call that young lady, what would you tell her today?
I would say, you know, I was so stressed about choosing my career for life. I feel like lots of people when they graduate, it's like, oh, okay, this is my job. You know, this because you talk to older generations, they stayed at the same company for 40 years and pension, and I think that gave me so much anxiety and pressure. And no, you're gonna have at this point we're living to 100, ideally minus COVID. I don't even know, but you're gonna have multiple careers. The AR, VR, 3D career didn't even exist back then. You know, my ideal job didn't exist yet, and that's how fast the pace of technology is moving. So just try things. I think people get paralyzed and are afraid to just go get that internship. You might hate it. That's fine. Go do it it's going to be what's a year or
Right.
3 months. But just get as many internships and jobs as possible. Just that's how you're going to figure out what you want to do.
I meant to pause you earlier when you talked about internships. Yeah, I really encourage, juniors and seniors in college, do some interning. It will help you more than anything figure out what you don't want to do. Right. And then by the way, speaking of having multiple careers and trying to figure out what you want to do, my favorite part of your LinkedIn profile, so for anybody that looks you up, my favorite part, I know I've told you this before, right? You know what I'm going to say. My favorite part of the LinkedIn profile when you look up Ashley is you go down through and you're like, wow, look at this founder, VNTANA. Okay, cool. BP. You're like, wait, and then right here, so all of a sudden you see this ocean bar. You're like, ocean bar. Wait a minute, what is that? And then you see the title, light jockey at Ocean Bar, 8 months. I love the fact that you have that in there. That to me, what that says about you is it says, hey, look, I'm a serious, hardworking, very organized engineer type personality, and I'm tenacious and I'm competitive and all these things. But there is just a little bit of part of me in there that likes to have a little bit of fun and keep it real. And so I'm going to keep light jockey on my LinkedIn profile. I love that.
It was a really awesome job, and it led me to where I am today. It's
It
probably the most
did.
thing on there.
It did. Right. If you hadn't, have you ever thought about your life that way? If that friend hadn't said, come be a hostess at this cool restaurant and club, none of this might have happened.
Yeah, my parents thought I was insane at the time. Yeah.
really cool. Last question. Whoops. Last question. If you had to put your core purpose, define, core purpose into a sentence or two, Ashley's core purpose in life now, today, and let's try to push it away from your immediate family. So let's call it the professional core purpose in life. How would you, what would that sound like?
Yeah, I mean, I try and do everything I can to bring other women up. I think there are not enough women founders, CEOs, not enough women getting funded, not enough women in tech because it hasn't been welcoming for them. And so I try and do everything I can to get more women in the tech space, make them successful. I'm part of the Women AR VR group, which is amazing. There's over 1,000 of us there.
Cool.
I'm part of a smaller group where we've made a pact every day. Some person in the group says they want something shared, and we all share it on LinkedIn and Twitter to help amplify each other. And I'm happy to make any intros and recommendations. I think this is a whole new medium, and we need enough women and minorities creating content in this new medium, so we don't have the same mistakes as the movie industry. And
right. Yep. Great. I love it. By the way, speaking of powerful women entrepreneurs, if you know of some that have a really cool story like yours for the Riderflex podcast, please send them my way.
I will.
But they gotta have just a little bit of a cool factor too, like little cool stories, like the light jockey story, stuff like that. I love it. Ashley, I'm super happy for you. I mean, really great story, super inspirational. Thanks for sharing it with the listeners. I'm glad that you guys are really taking off now. You're going to be huge. You're going to be huge. At some point, like later on, when you're like, I don't know, on the cover of Fortune magazine or something, I'm gonna ping you. I'm gonna ping you and say, hey, don't forget about us little people. Don't forget about us small people.
I hope so.
Thank you. Thank you for being on the Riderflex podcast. I appreciate it. The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviews. Our show can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit riderflex.com and click on the podcast page to hear all the previous episodes and learn more about the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Contact us at the email address info@riderflex.com or 888-964-5876. Thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoy our show, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes.